The envelope sat open on the kitchen island like a wound. Inside, the hotel keycard still carried the faint chemical smell of plastic and the sharp edge of a receipt dated 3 nights ago. His name was printed in clean black letters, next to a room number I had never seen. Outside the window, the late afternoon light cut across the backyard swing set in long gold bars, and the children's laughter floated in from the patio as if the world had not just tilted. My hands did not shake. That was the strange part. They stayed steady, while the rest of me went cold and clear, the way a pond freezes from the edges inward. I folded the receipt once, twice, and slid it back into the envelope. Somewhere in the house, a floorboard creaked. I listened for his footsteps and heard only the slow tick of the wall clock. 2 years earlier, the same kitchen had smelled of cinnamon and coffee every Saturday morning. I used to stand at that island slicing apples while the radio played soft jazz and the twins argued over who got the bigger pancake. My name is Amelia. I was 34, a freelance graphic designer who worked from the spare bedroom, the kind of woman neighbors waved to when they walked their dogs. My husband, Marcus, taught history at the local high school and coached the debate team. Our life looked ordinary on purpose. We had painted the shutters blue the summer we moved in. We hosted potlucks. We kept a shared calendar on the fridge with soccer practices and parent-teacher conferences marked in different colored ink. I believed, with the quiet certainty of someone who had never been given a reason to doubt, that the calendar would keep filling itself forever. Welcome, if you are reading this, settle in. The story does not stay soft for long. The first crack appeared 6 months ago when Marcus started staying late for faculty meetings. I noticed the cologne that was not the one I had bought him for his birthday. I noticed the way his phone screen faced down whenever I entered a room. I told myself it was stress. Teachers burn out. Then the credit card statement arrived with a line item from a boutique hotel 40 minutes away. I did not confront him. I waited. Waiting became a habit. I began to map the pattern the way I once mapped client logos. Quiet observation, careful notes, no sudden moves. What he had taken was not only trust. He had taken the version of myself that believed marriage was a shared language. The humiliation lived in the ordinary moments. Folding his shirts, packing the children's lunches, smiling at the grocery clerk who still asked how the family was doing. Anger arrived later, cold and precise. The public embarrassment came at the spring fundraiser. Marcus stood at the podium thanking the tireless volunteers, and his eyes found the new guidance counselor, a woman named Priya with a bright laugh and a way of touching his arm that looked practiced. People noticed. I saw the glances. I heard the lowered voices near the dessert table. Later that night, one of the other mothers texted me a photo someone had taken of the two of them leaning too close by the coat rack. I deleted the message and kept the screenshot. Small setbacks piled up. The twins asked why Daddy was never home for bedtime stories. Marcus began leaving his laptop open, as if daring me to look. I did not. Instead, I started documenting everything: dates, times, mileage on the car, the scent of unfamiliar perfume on his coat. I improved my own work, took on higher-paying clients, opened a separate savings account under my name alone. Humor arrived in strange places. The day the dog dragged one of Marcus's socks into the living room, and I laughed until I cried because the sock looked more loyal than he did. Each small victory felt temporary. Something larger was still coming. I did not plan violence. I planned precision. I hired a quiet private investigator named Theo who specialized in domestic cases and never asked unnecessary questions. He confirmed what I already knew and delivered photographs, timestamps, and a copy of a second bank account Marcus had opened without my name on it. I began transferring small amounts of my freelance earnings into my private account. I updated my portfolio, landed a contract with a national brand, and quietly consulted a family law attorney who explained the difference between community property and what could be protected. I let Marcus believe I was still the same woman who waited up with dinner. I even cooked his favorite meals on the nights he came home late, smiling while I measured out the exact amount of indifference required to keep him comfortable. Patience became a weapon. Strategy became daily practice. I improved myself in visible ways, new glasses that made me look sharper, a haircut that caught the light differently, a calm that unnerved him. When he finally asked if everything was all right, I said yes and meant the opposite. The trap was not yet closed, but the spring was tightening. The twist arrived on a Thursday when Theo handed me a final folder. Inside were screenshots of messages between Marcus and Priya. They were not simply planning an escape together. Marcus had been gathering evidence of his own, screenshots of my private therapy notes he had somehow accessed, old emails in which I had confessed how overwhelmed I sometimes felt as a mother, anything he could use to paint me as unstable if I ever filed for divorce. He intended to take the children and leave me with a house and a ruined reputation. That was when the truth settled into place with perfect clarity. I had not been the only one planning an exit, but I had planned mine first. Months earlier, long before the hotel keycard, I had begun the careful work of making myself leave-ready. The affair I had orchestrated with a kind, divorced architect named Julian, an affair that never moved past carefully staged dinners and public sightings, was never about love. It was about creating a paper trail that would force Marcus's hand before he could destroy me. I had wanted him to discover it. I had wanted the confrontation on my terms. The hotel receipt on the kitchen island had been the final piece of theater I arranged myself. I chose the living room on a Sunday afternoon when the children were at a friend's house. Marcus sat on the couch scrolling his phone. I placed the folder on the coffee table between us and waited until he looked up. The conversation was quiet. I did not raise my voice. I simply laid out every document, every timestamp, every transfer he had made, and then the evidence of his own plan to discredit me. His face moved through denial, then calculation, then the slow recognition that the ground had shifted. When he tried to pivot, accusing me of the staged affair, I nodded. Yes, I said. I arranged for you to find it. I needed you to move first, so the court would see the pattern clearly. The attorney's letter was already prepared. The financial freeze was already in motion. Priya, when she learned the full extent of Marcus's contingency plan involving the children, ended things within days. Marcus was left with the public knowledge of his double life and the private knowledge that he had been outmaneuvered by the woman he had underestimated. I did not gloat. I simply stood, collected the folder, and told him the temporary living arrangements would begin the following morning. Justice tasted like clean air after a long winter. The house felt larger once he was gone. The twins adjusted faster than I expected. Children are resilient when the tension leaves the rooms. I kept the blue shutters. I painted the spare bedroom a soft green and turned it into a proper studio. New clients arrived. Old friendships deepened because I finally had energy to answer texts. Julian remained a friend and nothing more. The staged chapter closed cleanly. On weekends, the children and I walked the neighborhood loop and talked about ordinary things: soccer scores, school projects, the dog's latest obsession with chasing leaves. I slept through the night. The reputation I had feared losing settled into something quieter and stronger. The woman who saw what was coming and prepared. I used to believe that love required blindness. Now I understand that the deepest form of care is clear sight. The cost of vengeance was not the loneliness I once feared. It was the years I spent pretending not to see. I will not pretend again. The calendar on the fridge still fills itself, but the handwriting is mine alone, and the days ahead look open. If this story stayed with you, consider liking and sharing it so others who need the reminder can find it. And if you want more stories about quiet strength and earned endings, subscribe. There is always another chapter waiting. The shift ends, but the stories never do. Every smile hides a struggle, every word a story. Hit subscribe and see the human side of work. Thank you for watching.